Hello, I'm Vince Pardo. We're at the Ybor City State Museum. Talked today with Elizabeth McCoy, who is the curator of the museum, and Elizabeth's going to tell us a little bit about the exhibit here today. And if you would, Elizabeth, just give us a little about what the impetus was for creating this exhibit.
Absolutely. Every year, the Ybor City Museum Society picks a new topic that they want to explore in a little bit more detail. Over the past several years, we've looked at a lot of the different ethnic groups that helped to make Ybor City what it is. But we also realized that the buildings themselves tell a big story of Ybor City, and so we wanted to make sure that we were able to sort of represent what it is what it is about Ybor that makes it look like Ybor. So that was really where we started with the project.
And as I understand, it's not so much just the bricks and mortar, it's also the life that would happen in those buildings.
Absolutely. I mean, all of these were a backdrop for all the other stories that we know so well about Ybor City. The factories that the cigars were rolled in that made Ybor City such a cigar magnet for the entire world. It's the social clubs that held dances and sponsored picnics, and I mean all these buildings that really were the fabric of life. They're still around. Right. There maybe some of them are doing different things now, and some of them are actually still some of the same group is in the building that started off in the building, but that's what makes Ybor so unique.
Still great monuments.
Absolutely,
right.
Absolutely.
Why don't you just take us a tour? We'll follow you.
Please.
And go ahead and explain what we have.
Absolutely. Well, this is the introduction to our exhibit. Again, it just sort of sets the stage for sort of what you're going to start to see when you go through the exhibit, from why you might be interested in Ybor architecture, what makes it so unique. And again, you have some wonderful pictures. It's really hard to tell a story about architecture and not have a lot of pictures. So you will notice as we go through the exhibit that there's quite a few pictures so that anybody can really get a good sense of what the exhibit and what Ybor City is really all about. On the inside here, we have a couple of original drawings by M. Leo Elliott and B.C. Bonfoy. They designed a number of buildings down here. These happen to be of the Cuban Club and of the Ritz Theater. When you come around the corner, Vince was saying that we didn't just want to tell the stories of people that were, or of just the buildings. We also wanted to tell the story of some of the people. And you can't talk about buildings without talking about the people that either designed them or helped to build them. And this panel really goes into depth about a couple of the prominent architects from Ybor City, Francis J. Kennard, M. Leo Elliott, and B.C. Bonfoy. And then it also talks about the masons and the craftsmen who, in a lot of instances, acted as the architect. They didn't have any official plans, but they took what they knew from some of their homelands, recreated houses and commercial buildings. So a lot of what you see in Ybor City can be attributed to the everyday workman. One type of building in Ybor City that a lot of people find very recognizable is the casita, which literally just means little house. Some of them have a bit of a craftsman style influence, so you have large pillars in the front, big porches, and a lot of them also have a lot of Victorian details. So these pictures just sort of show some of the detailings on some of the houses, what makes some of them so special. And then you can't talk about Ybor City without talking about the cigar. And the cigar factory is one of the most iconic buildings in Ybor City. You can see them from any of the interstates that surround Ybor City. They're the 2 to 3 story large brick buildings. And again, a lot of them are still standing and have been repurposed. But this panel just sort of talks a little bit about how you can tell when it is a cigar factory. You're looking for lots of windows. You're looking for long rectangular buildings. And it shows a little bit of how much of this is still in the area. It's important to note that Ybor City is a National Historic Landmark District, and one of the criteria that they used was the fact that so many buildings are still standing. In fact, it's known as the largest collection of cigar-related buildings in the entire world here in Ybor City. And then we have a little bit about some of the social life of Ybor City. I was talking a little bit at the beginning about some of the social halls that held different balls and dances and served really as the hub of some of the ethnic communities down here. Many of them are still standing, and many of them still serve as the clubhouse for the club that they were originally built for. These are some of the most iconic buildings, I think, in Ybor City. And again, they're really a testament to the longevity of some of the ways of life that you see down here in Ybor City. And then the final panel talks a little bit about a bit of a sad period in Ybor City's history. Urban renewal in the late 50s and early 60s was a program that a federal program that looked to sort of rehabilitate neighborhoods that were seen as blighted or in a bit of a decline. Ybor City was seen as one of those, and unfortunately in the 60s about 60% of Ybor City's structures were knocked down to make way for parking lots, to expand the size of roads, that kind of thing. So we unfortunately lost a lot of buildings that would now be just as historic as the ones that we still have. But one silver lining of that urban renewal project was that the historic preservation movement really sprung out after that. A lot of people realized, oh my goodness, we're losing so many amazing buildings, we need to do something about it. And that's really what's made Ybor City look so much like it always has, is that this preservation movement sprung up and people realized that they really wanted to repurpose buildings instead of knocking them down. And you had groups in place like the Barrio Latino that now make sure that everything is done in a way where Ybor's sort of Ybor-ness, if you were, is still preserved every time a new development project is enacted. So that really gives you a good sense of some of the topics that are included. This is just a wonderful, I think I said that you have to have a lot of pictures in an exhibit about architecture. And I had so many left over that I wasn't able to include in the panels that I've incorporated a video screen that will flash a number of photos so that everyone can just keep on getting a sense of what it is out there that makes Ybor so great and what makes it look so unique.
That is great. I think you've done a great job of not only capturing the architecture, but the life that happened in these buildings.
I tried.
Yeah. Being an Ybor native myself, I've lived in some of these buildings, played in them, helped to restore some of them, and it's really iconic. Beautiful job you've done.
Well, thank you very much. I'm hoping that everybody enjoys it.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Okay. We're talking now with Chantal Hevia. Chantal is the executive director of the Ybor City Museum Society. Museum Society really works with the curator and the staff here of the state park to really make sure that we have exhibits here that shows the history and the life of Ybor City. Welcome to our show.
Thank you very much, Vince. Good. It's such a pleasure to be here today because we are actually having the exhibit opening in just about half an hour. And we will have quite a bit of pomp and ceremony. We'll have dancers and musicians, and we'll have Councilman Reddick do the ribbon cutting and read an official mayoral proclamation. This is official Ybor City Architecture Week in the City of Tampa. Yes. So the party's about to begin, but before it does, I'd like to tell people how they can come see the exhibit if they happen not to be catching the party this evening. First of all, as you mentioned, this is a state park, and which means it's open 7 days a week. From 9 till 5 p.m. And there is a very small fee to get in, only $4, which, if it weren't a state park, most museums are a lot more than that. But this gives you the opportunity to see not only this exhibit, which will be on display until about September 15th, after which we will put in another new and special exhibit. So in between that time, you can see this exhibit, and you can also see everything else in the museum. And what the museum does, it portrays not only how important Ybor City was to the cigar industry, because that is really what built Florida. I like to say that Ybor City is the birthplace of modern Tampa, because in its time, first of all, they were making like half a billion, 500 million cigars here in Ybor City in about 200 factories. So imagine what that did to the economy of Tampa and how many people it brought here. We also talk about the great ethnic groups that came here, the Spaniards, the Sicilians, the Cubans, the Afro-Cubans, the Romanian Jews, and the Germans. And all of them played an important role in the development of Ybor City, and all of them left their ethnicity here in Tampa. And so we're a very diverse and multicultural city now, thanks to what started here.
So you did an excellent job, as usual, really capturing the essence of Ybor City, present and past, and doing that. And that's part of what the Museum Society is all about. So kudos to you and your cadre of volunteers, a lot of volunteers to help to do that.
We do, and we appreciate our volunteers. We appreciate our board of directors.
Yeah.
And, of course, I appreciate our staff very
Yeah.
much.
Keep in mind that Ybor City has the largest collection of cigar-related buildings anywhere in the world, correct?
Absolutely.
Right.
And we also have 56 buildings that are in the National Register of Historic Places. So that's pretty impressive, too, isn't it?
Great, great. All right, I'm ready to hit the party. Are you?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's do that.
Thank
Come
you.
to Ybor City State Museum. You won't be disappointed.
Thank you very much, Vince.